Hey everyone, One Spittin' here with a battle report. So this is game one of Adepticon 2016, my Beast Herds army against some Dread Elves. Um, this is if you've seen my introductory video to the tournament, you should know this, but this is really the first time I've played this list. I've played, I think, one game with a similar list, and I didn't play it well and got my butt handed to me. So I was a little bit nervous going into this game just because, it's the first time playing this list. Um, yeah, 2,400 points. We're playing version 0.11 rules. And one thing that'll become obvious. This game only went 3 turns. Um, Basically, when it was time to start the game, my opponent had to set up his army, and he had it packed away, of course, for traveling. So every model was individually in a little foam thing, and it took, I don't know, an hour to get set up and into the deployment phase, or to get through deployment. It just took forever. Um, so by the time we started the game, I had an inkling that it wasn't going to go 6 turns. Anyway, to start off on the list, on the far right, it's got a unit of Ravencloaks, Dread Knights. That is a unit. That is a piece of impassable terrain, by the way. A unit of Medusas. That's a new unit in the book, so I know nothing about them, and I can tell they're kind of monstrous infantry stuff. And of course, they're Dread Elves, so they're probably nasty in their own way. Unit of Crossbows, a Divine Altar. A unit of Tower Guard with a Spellcaster. I want to say this is a level 3, and I think Lore of Shadow. This is the one game in the tournament my opponent did not have an extra copy of his list, so I'm having to go off memory here. Next to him is a unit of Corsairs. So again, I could be wrong here. I think the Tower Guard had his Battle Standard Bearer, and the Corsairs had a general, I think. He's got a unit of Dark Raiders and then some Dancers of Yemma, and I think those are kind of similar to what Warhammer Fantasy had with their Sisters of Slaughter. I'm not too worried about it. There's nothing in his army I'm too worried about, just because if I get my big blocks into him, I just have a lot of bodies that with 2 attacks each. That even if he's killing a bunch of stuff, I feel like I can kill enough back. But at the same time, he's got multiple blocks of these things, and I'm worried about by the time I get to the Dancers of Yemma, I'm not going to have many models left to handle them. So I've got 2 units of scouting gargoyles here on the left. So in the 9th age, when you scout, you can't be more than 18 inches, closer than 18 inches from your opponent. It affects things in a dramatic way. Then I've got my Jabberslythe, my Vanguarding Giant, Razor Tusk Chariot, Raiding Chariot. Then I've got my Big Bunker, and I want to say this has 37 long wild horns in it, extra hand weapon. They've got the +1 attack, armor piercing 2 totem. I have 3 characters in there. You can see my kits on those characters in my introductory video, but I've got my general, my battle standard bearer, and my spellcaster. Let's see, I've got another Raiding Chariot, another Razor Tusk Chariot, another Vanguarding Giant, and then way over here on the right, I've got a Razor Tusk. So I deployed my army first because I knew exactly how I wanted to deploy to try this list, and so I got to go first. One item that I neglected to mention in the introductory video is that my bunker unit has a one-use item where they're able to march 15 inches instead of 10 inches. So they're able just to hop up there, and I am right in my opponent's business. Now, I'm not necessarily thinking that I need turn 2 charges. I'm really trying to just make my opponent not have very many good options for his movement phase. But by the time we're done with the complete turn 1, I'm realizing if I don't get in charges turn 2, I might not have time to make any charges. So I was a little bit worried about that. Here on my far left, I flew one. I have no intention of I have no intention of charging even the flank of those Dancers of Yemma. I don't know what my plan is for those guys except for get behind the enemy lines and be available to redirect or to combo charge or something like that. The other unit of gargoyles is hanging in the bottom left. There's nowhere those Dark Raiders can go that they can advance that they can't get charged by the gargoyles, and I like gargoyles against any fast cav. My Jabberslythe is hiding behind the building, kinda. I kind of don't want him getting shot, but more importantly, I'm trying to get him as close to my opponent as possible because he can fly 16 inches, and all units within 6 inches of him have -1 leadership. So I'd really like to get him behind enemy lines, just lowering leadership back there. Over here on the right, I don't know how to deal with these Raven Cloaks over here. They're not brutal, but I don't want. He's far enough away that I don't want to declare a charge. He shoots at me. I fail the charge. He shoots at me. I declare a charge. He shoots at me. You know, nobody's going to survive that. So I'm letting the Razor Tusk just hang out in the woods. He's getting +1 cover, and I'm hoping that he can just tie those guys up. If they hang out all the way over here on the right-hand side and just play around with this guy for a couple turns, I think I can just ignore that unit or be prepared to deal with them later. All right, so magic was kind of a bust. The only spell that went off was I got hard target totem off on my giant. Those Medusas have a shooting attack, and when they roll, instead of your toughness, they roll against your initiative, which is kind of interesting. So instead of being toughness 5, he's initiative 3, and I'm a little bit worried about him. So anyway, otherwise you can see how he moved. We go to shooting. Magic for him, I think, was a bust. I think he just rolled really, really poorly. So magic didn't go well. Shooting didn't really go that well either. So his Ravencloaks shoot at my Razor Tusk Chariot and only do a single wound. The Medusas shoot at the giant, and remember he has the hard target. I think he forgot about that buff being on the giant, and I think he otherwise would have shot at the Razor Tusk Chariot. Personally, I think the better choice is to pick on units when you can. So a Razor Tusk Chariot with 1 wound doesn't really matter, but if the Medusas had targeted that and done more wounds, you might be able to kill it and force panic tests and stuff like that. So he shoots at the giant. I don't think he does any wounds. The crossbows shoot at this chariot. They do a wound. The Corsairs have throwing weapons. They shoot at this giant. They do 1 wound. So really just, I have 4 different small units, small models that have 1 wound each. I'll take it. All right, so we go to Beastman turn 2. At this point in the game, we have 2.5 hour time limit, and we're probably an hour and 45 minutes into that time. So starting off, my gargoyles on the lower left charge his fast cav. Now he had lined up, he'd gone up to shoot the Jabberslythe, didn't do anything to him. So I charge him, and he flees, and he didn't know the rule that you fail dangerous terrain going through the building on a 1, 2, or 3. So I said, look, if that changes your decision, you can stay there and take the charge. I think it would have changed his decision about parking his fast cav there, but I wasn't willing to let him go all the way back to his movement phase. So he fled through the building, and my opponent was thinking that he would have 5 guys left, probably, maybe 4, and that's going to be wide enough that he's going to bounce through everything and land on the other side of the board. Well, when he went to the building, he lost 3 of the 5, and so now there's plenty of room for him to land right where you see him, which was perfect because now he's blocking the counter charge from the Corsairs. If you see, I've got my smaller unit of Wild Horns popped up behind him, which is nice. And then we go to the charges. So I took a stand and shoot against my giant, and luckily the hard target was still on him, and so he only took 1 wound for the stand and shoot. I figure 2 chariots and a giant should be able to take care of this unit. At least I'm hoping. If this unit, the problem is my opponent has those knights available to countercharge, and that has me a little bit nervous. This one I'm really nervous about. Like I said, I've got 2 attacks each with these wild horns. My battle standard bearer is in the 2nd rank. I decided to keep him there so he can get the +1 strength bonus without risking death. My Beast Lord is pretty tough. I've got a spellcaster up front, and the only real defense he has is he's toughness 5, so I'm a little bit worried about him surviving. Yeah, so if the Tower Guard break, and I think they have bodyguard, so I have to be sure to kill his spellcaster, but it's only a spellcaster. My Beast Lord is touching the guy, so I'm pretty confident that guy's going to be dead. If I can do that, I should be able to beat these guys in combat. They will bounce through my ambushing unit, so I don't even have to pursue them, and I could just turn to face the Corsair. So that is, yeah, that's my hope. And if he sticks, things just get dicey for the beast herds. So after combat, this was kind of funny. So we go in there, and yeah, the Medusas are tough. Those are scary. 4 wounds each. They were doing some damage, although it doesn't look like it here. I did enough damage. We broke them, right? So they fled right through that impassable terrain. I decided to pursue with my raiding chariot, my cheaper chariot, just to try to make sure I get the points. But I know that I'm probably going to hit the impassable terrain, and I'm going to have to take dangerous terrain tests for that chariot. Um, and then I reform my giant to face his knights, and I reform my razor test chariot to face his raven cloaks. I'm like, this is perfect. So now I've got two things that can charge his raven cloaks, and I think that chariot was close enough that unless they backed up or something, they weren't going to even be able to stand and shoot at him. Well, when my raiding chariot hit the impassable terrain, it failed. I think it only had one or two wounds left. It failed dangerous terrain and died, which caused a panic test on my razor test chariot, and it ran away from the nearest unit. Like, damn it. Darn it. Darn, I thought I had this right flank all sewn up. I don't know how good Dread Knights are when they charge a giant. The giant only has 5 wounds. He only has 4 wounds left. You just don't know what's going to happen there. But I think this is as good as I could hope for. And we go here. So my Beast Lord. So first off, my main unit fails its Primal Instinct test, which just really sucks. These guys have somebody here. I think it was the spellcaster had the Aura of Despair, some item that causes that. So when you take any leadership test besides break tests, it's the opposite of cold-blooded, right? You roll 3 dice and you remove the lowest. Well, I fail my Primal Fury, so not rerolling to hit is absolutely, absolutely huge. The Beast Lord can't even kill his spellcaster. I'm like, I am in so much trouble. He does a bunch of wounds to me. I do a bunch of wounds to him. Um, the the Longhorn, who's on the back of the chariot, swinging always strikes last. He puts the final wound on the spellcaster. Thank you very much. My spellcaster, meanwhile, has taken 2 wounds, so he's 1 wound away from death. The Jabberslythe flew over the top of everybody, trying to get within 6 inches of the tower guard, and he just couldn't make it. He couldn't fit because of the Corsairs, and he could only fly 16. If he could fly 20, he could have flown behind him. So I won combat, and I think my opponent needed like a 6. I don't know. I mean, it was whatever. And he's stuck. And I'm like, darn it. Now, luckily, that fast cav is in the way. That's everything right now. Because now his Corsairs can't charge. They can touch the chariot, but they can't get past his fast cav, and I can't close the door to him because I'm already locked in combat. Thank goodness. So, yeah. Alright, so we go to Dread Elves turn 2. So on the right, his knights charge my giant, and here on the left, his Divine Altar charges the flank of my main unit. Yeah, so I'm actually just kind of curious about this. I don't know. I think they'd have to be lucky to kill him outright, but you never know. Oh, and I should say, and the Ravencloaks tried to charge his flank, and they failed. I think with the knights in the front and those guys just with all their attacks in the flank, I think the giant does die. This one, I'm not too worried about. I don't know if I'm going to win or lose this, but I know I am going to be steadfast. So I'm okay with that there. And luckily, the Aura of Despair thing is gone. So, if I'm steadfast, I'm more likely to pass it. We go to combat. I pass my Primal Instinct and just really wreck face. It was awesome. And I want to say I might have had the speed totem, the +3 initiative, just because I have a vague memory of swinging first. But regardless of that, we just wrecked face on the tower guard. I don't know if they killed him to a man or if they fled through my ambushing unit. And so we just turned to face the Divine Altar. The Razor Tusk chariot on the left, there's nothing it could do. I mean, it didn't. Yeah, his tower guard died to a man, because that unit couldn't overrun. So it couldn't really reform. It was just sitting there. That's all it could really do. And over here, yeah, he does 3 wounds to me. Giant swings back and does 2 wounds back. Actually, he did a bunch of wounds, but my opponent made some really good armor saves. And now I'm thinking, okay, that giant's going to die. He only has 1 wound left. But yeah, so there's that. Now, at this point, we have the tournament organizer sitting at our table, drumming his fingers. We've got like 10 minutes left, and we're just starting turn 3. And he was like, I really want you guys to get through at least 3 turns. And I'm like, yes, yes, please. I would like to get through all the turns if I could, because I like how things are going. So starting on the far right, my Razor Tusk charges the flank of those Raven Cloaks, and my here at the bottom, the Giant charges the flank of the Divine Altar. My ambushing unit charged his crossbows. They fled, bounced through everything, and were safely away. But then I had my raiding chariot, charge them, pushed them back up, made it for an easy charge by my ambushing units. So got the crossbows out of the way. Let's see. I leave my Razor Tusk chariot in front of his Corsairs because I'm just worried that if things don't go the way I need them to go, those Corsairs could charge to the rear of my unit. And at least with that guy there, there's a chance that I might be able to block it. And my other Razor Tusk right in front of the building charges his remaining 2 fast cav. So afterwards, it looks like this. So my Razor Tusk on the left only kills 1 fast cav and he sticks. I was kind of surprised by that. Yeah, we in the combat we won. We didn't kill it, but we won against the Divine Altar, and we chase it down and get the points. So that's nice. At this point, I'm really glad that Razor Tusk is there because my opponent, I think, had a very makeable charge Corsairs into the rear of that Wild Horn unit. The remaining 3 Dread Knights kill the Giant. That's kind of a bummer. And my Razor Tusk charged the flank of the Raven Cloaks, beat him in combat, ran him down. I'm very happy about that. Now, this phase of the game, I'm skipping the magic phase. I'm like, here's movement. I'm throwing stuff around. Like, here's movement, skip magic. I have no shooting. Boom, we go to combat. Let's roll it. I'm just really trying to fly. My opponent's turn. His remaining knights charge my remaining giant. Can they do it again? His Corsairs, of course, charge the Razor Tusk chariot. After combat here, yeah, so he does a wound or 2. I do, I think, a wound back. He's down to 1 guy left. I don't remember. Whatever. And we stick. And over here in the second round of combat, my Razor Tusk kills his fast cav. Corsairs kill the Razor Tusk chariot. And I don't know why I'm showing that. And then we go to the blurry ending picture, and it ends like that. So, yeah, this is a shame. This ended up being a fun game. I like my opponent. So, the rapport between us was good. The game was fun for me. I just really think that if I had 6 turns, I was going to get a 25-0. Or if not a 25, at least a 23-point win. I thought it was going to be big. Ended up, I got 18 points out of it. And so that's solid. I'm not going to complain about it. 18 out of 25 possible. But that was kind of a bummer. But yeah, so as far as the tournament goes, there's a part of me that says I want to get as many points as possible, get them when you can. And there's another part of me that says you don't want to get full points game 1 of a tournament because now you're playing at the top tables and it's just a grind. So actually, 18 points, I'm happy with at the end of this game. Like, I wish we could have gone 6 turns, whatever, but I'm happy with 18 points. It's solid. It puts me within striking distance of the top without putting me too high up. I'm happy with it. So there we go. That's game 1 of Adepticon. Thank you so much for watching the video. I truly hope you enjoyed it. As you know, YouTube has a variety of functions you can use to interact with videos such as this. You can like or comment on the video. You can favorite it. You can share it. And of course, you can subscribe to the channel. And I encourage you to do any or all of those things as a way of interacting between viewer and producer. As always, I appreciate your patronage on the channel and wish you all the best.